Hey everybody, my name is Jack and I'm here with Pastor Rob from the United Methodist Church in Jackson, Minnesota. And today I'm going to ask him one question, and what is the sermon going to be about?
Hey Jack, good morning. We're going to be talking about following Jesus. This is the time of year when we talk about what Jesus did right at the beginning of his ministry. Like, for example, he got baptized, he was tempted, led into the wilderness to be tempted. And then what did he do? Well, he, how these 12 guys that we know today as the apostles, how did they get to be apostles? Where did they come from? And so we're going to talk about that. And when Jesus calls them, Jesus also calls us. And so what is that? What do we have to do to follow Jesus? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Thanks, Jack. Thanks.
This morning, as I told you, we're going to do a little pastor's prerogative, changing the bulletin around. I remember when I was a kid in one of the churches that we attended, after the offering, the pastor always did the announcements right after the offering and everything. So we're going to do that this morning, just to take a look at some of the things that are going on, and just to thank you once again for your apportionment giving and doing that. And you'll notice the announcement about the church directory. Nancy's working on that, and so let her know of anything that's changed, and so we can get that updated. You'll see the soup and chili dinner and everything. And then next Sunday, Kristen's going to be back with us, and I want you to pick out a hymn that she doesn't know. No. So think about this ahead of time. We're gonna do an old-fashioned hymn sing. I wanted to do this, and Kristen has agreed to it. And so if you have a favorite hymn that we haven't sung in a while, please think about it and be ready to have it played on Sunday. And if there's a hymn that you think, I haven't heard that in church for ages and everything. And so Kristen is such a great player, she'll be able to handle all of those.
But I would appreciate a little bit of a heads up, so if you have something in mind, please see me after church.
Yeah. Or I tell you what, the other way to do that too is this week, if you want to give me or Nancy a call when she's in the office on Wednesday or Friday, or an email, send me an email there. You see our email addresses and phone numbers. Text us and say hey, and then we can get that to Kristen too and stuff. So we'll have that already and everything. So that'll be great. Thanks, Kristen. That'll be great. Another item that's not in the bulletin that I heard about this week, and I want to do it. I decided I want to do this. Is that on Facebook, for those of you who don't know, that's a social media platform on computer. Facebook, all of our pastors in our district, in our Southern Prairie district here, are in a district group together on Facebook. And one of the pastors came up with an idea. She said, I don't know if this is a Holy Spirit leading or what this is, but she said, what if people gave to the church as much as they're going to be spending on the next few weeks for football? And I thought, how can we do this? What can we do in this way and everything? Because, for example, later on this afternoon, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to be down at the Legion watching the football game. I have to be around people so I don't have a heart attack. I told the guy that manages, I said, if I have a heart attack during this game, at least there'll be people that can take me to the hospital. And so that's why I'm going to be in the loud ugly. Anyway, so I thought to myself, how can we do this? What can we do? And I thought, it would be fun if we took, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to kind of keep track of everything that I've spent already. Like yesterday I bought a bag of chips, my favorite Doritos and stuff, so that's $2.50. I mean, I'm just taking, you just kind of keep that in your head. Or if you're going over to somebody's place and you're bringing a pan of bars or chocolates and cookies, and you think, okay, how much did the ingredients cost to throw that together? And you go, okay, under $5. Well, put $5. Okay, so think about this. And then on the Sunday after the Super Bowl, I'm going to have, actually the next few Sundays, I'm going to buy special, I'm going to get some special colored envelopes. So they'll be different than the envelopes that are in, so we know what it's for and stuff. So Nancy knows what it's for and everything, because she's the one that counts the money, as our finance secretary. And what we're going to do is, don't tell him, but we're going to send this to Fred Vanderwerf, our district superintendent, as our district offering. Last year, I noticed in our offering, in our budget and everything, we were assigned like $50 and stuff for our district. I don't even know what he uses it for. But the thing is, I think it would be so much fun when I give gifts to people, and it's a surprise. Have you ever done that? You give somebody, just totally out of the blue, you give somebody a gift, and they go, what was this for? And it'd be so fun. And I'd be so excited and stuff. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep track of things. And then that Sunday, at the end of Sunday, I'm going to put the amount that I'll put it in that envelope and put it in the offering plate. And then we'll send it to Fred, our district superintendent, as our district offering from our church, and say, Fred, use it for whatever ministry you think is worthwhile in the district. Fred he's a great guy. He'll know how best to use it in what ministry, that something in ministry in our district and everything. And I think that would be so awesome. That would be so great. And so just think about, if you're going to go with friends someplace and you're just driving someplace, you go, okay, how much does the gas cost to get there? Maybe less than $1.50, whatever. So put $2 in it. It's just that kind of thing. It's not to raise $500 or $1,000 or whatever. It's just give what you spend kind of thing. And just surprise the tickets out of our DS and stuff. I think that would be fun. And so we're going to do this, and so we'll be announcing this over the next Sundays too, and it would be just kind of fun and stuff. So just to be thinking about that, I just wanted to introduce that concept to you this morning. We'll be talking about it over the next couple weeks as the Super Bowl gets closer and everything. Many of us have gone to Super Bowl parties and done that kind of thing. So that's kind of fun. So those are all the announcements that I have. Oh, by the way, the Bible study we're going to do a church Bible study on Thursdays. I haven't got to get the books yet. They still haven't come. They'll probably come this week and stuff. And so that's going to be on Thursdays at 9:30. And we haven't set a date yet, a start date, because we don't have the books yet. I don't want to start it and say, hey, we're going to start meeting on such and such a date. We don't have anything to do. So we'll wait until we get the books. Then we'll set a start date. Okay? So be looking for that too. So those are all the announcements I have. I'm looking back at Nancy. Potluck next week. Oh yeah, the last Sunday of the month and everything. So no snow on the horizon for next week. And if the Vikings win today, it's not, they always have a week off before the Super Bowl, so we don't have to worry about that. And so we're going to have fellowship time. Sorry, Jack. Jack, our resident New Orleans Saints fan, he's in the back. And everything. He's not too happy about us cheering for the Vikings and stuff. So anyway, sorry, Jack. But maybe, as the old saying goes, maybe next year. And but just to be thinking about that. So thank you very much for that announcement too. Okay. Well, I tell you what. I want you to take your Bibles. We have been talking about last Sunday. We started talking about the disciples and Jesus calling the disciples. And we looked at the story of Jesus calling his first disciples, Andrew and Nathaniel and Bartholomew and Simon Peter. Remember Nathaniel? We talked about Nathaniel being the one who said, Nazareth, can anything good come from? And Philip, calling Philip, and Nathaniel said to Philip, can anything good come from Nazareth? And so we're talking about this, but this morning we're going to read it from Mark's Gospel, and there's going to be an interesting twist here, and see if you can catch it about something we talked about last week. Let me read this passage for you. If you have your Bibles there, or you want to grab a Pew Bible, Mark chapter 1, beginning with verse 16. One day, as Jesus was walking along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, by the way, did you notice one of the first songs Kristen played this morning? By the lake shore, right? That's the one yeah, by the lake shore. So that, as Jesus was walking along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, so that worked out well this morning. He saw Simon and his brother Andrew throwing a net into the water as they were fishing for a living. Jesus called out to them, "Come follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people." And they left their nets at once and followed him. A little farther up the shore, Jesus saw Zebedee's sons, James and John, in a boat repairing their nets. He called them at once, and they also followed him, leaving their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired men. Did you catch the kind of confusing thing when we think about last week's scripture passage? Last week we had Andrew being with John the Baptist. And Jesus said, "Come." Or actually, Andrew asked John, the way it happened was, Andrew actually asked John the Baptist, he said, "Who is that person?" And Andrew started following Jesus at that point. But here we have Andrew. Goodness gracious, he didn't follow him for very long then. He's back fishing with his brother. And so it's interesting. You have to remember, two different perspectives, two different stories. Have you ever played the game of telephone with a group of friends? You line up and one person says something on the line, and they whisper it to the next person in line, and by the get to the end, you have a totally different story. And that's how oral traditions, oral history happens. One person may remember it one way, another person may remember it another way. And so it's kind of interesting how that comes out here. But it's interesting, I find it interesting with the people Jesus calls. Because I'm a big fan of Broadway plays. And here, not long ago, I saw that the play Hamilton was coming to Minneapolis. And I hope I can get a ticket to see it. I probably sold out like it is everywhere. If you haven't heard about it, Hamilton is a very famous Broadway play now. It's been on Broadway for a few years and won the Tony Awards for Best Play and everything. President Obama actually and Michelle went to it a couple of years ago. It's a story of Alexander Hamilton, one of our founding fathers. And basically the guy on the $10 bill, if you want to take a look at what Alexander Hamilton looks like. And the story of Alexander Hamilton is just a fascinating story about how he did and what he did things. And basically the man who is behind the structure of our federal government and the Department of Treasury, how we handle our money, the economic system that we run by in our country. Most of it can be credited to Alexander Hamilton and how he did things and what he believed. And that play is all about his life and the different people and the different situations. And one of the main songs in that play is called "The Room Where It Happened." The Room Where It Happened. It's all about the story of how the United States Capitol got from New York to Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. And it's all about how Alexander Hamilton and just a few people in a room made that decision. Did all of the sausage making, as sometimes laws are called. We make laws in Washington, D.C. Well, like right now, with this government shutdown kind of thing. And so we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, who's arguing with who, and what one person's saying to what last person, and we go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it's sausage making. It's like making sausages. And here in this room, these few men decided this is where the Capitol would be. And when I think of that play, I think of that song, I was hearing it last week again, I'm thinking of how Jesus called the disciples. Jesus was not a great evangelist like we think of Billy Graham or Dwight Moody preaching in front of 2,000 or 10,000 or 500,000 people. He didn't do that. Jesus also was not the kind of person that would go to the temple and preach in front of large groups in the temple. He took these men, these disciples, and he said, "Come, follow me." It's like the song, "I wish I was in the room where it happened." You know, how did he do this? What did he say to Simon Peter? What did he say to Andrew? On a day by day, what were his exact words to James or John? You know, you kind of want to be in the room where it happened. But the thing is, what we see here is that Jesus is calling them to follow him. That's basically the whole story. That's why our passage this morning is only from verse 16 to verse 20. And you can summarize the whole passage by looking at, well, it's part of verse 17. Jesus called out to them, "Come follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people." That's it. Thank you. Admin, we go home. That's it. But the fascinating thing is, what does it mean to follow him? What does that imply? And we realize very quickly that, first of all, it's a personal call. Jesus is walking by the Sea of Galilee. He's walking along and he notices them where they are. Peter and Andrew and John and James are fishermen. That's where they live. They were common people. Last week I noticed some famous people coming from Jackson, some famous people from our community. But then I also saw a quote by George Bernard Shaw talking about common people. He said, quote, "I have never had any feeling for the working classes except to abolish them and replace them by sensible people." I mean, that's kind of an interesting gut. I have never had any feeling for the working classes except to abolish them and replace them with sensible people. Abraham Lincoln said, "God must love the common people because he made so many of them." And you know, that's what we are. That's the kind of people Jesus used. And you think of the people in the room with Alexander Hamilton, they created a country. 12 people that Jesus called changed the course of human history. Think of everything that happened because Jesus was walking down Main Street in Jackson, Minnesota, and saw some people at the coffee shop or doing royal treatment, having their hair cut, and they're saying, "Come, follow me. I want you to follow me." These guys weren't Ivory educated, you know. They didn't go to Ivy League institutions, Harvard, Yale, whatever, Stanford. They weren't the richest people in town. They didn't have the biggest houses. They were there working, just on the seashore, doing their jobs. That's who Jesus calls. It's where we do. It's what we say that can change the lives of people we know. Because we're a lot like these fellows right here. But not only is it a personal call, it's also a call that affects our whole life. Sounds kind of like the mess we're now in Washington, D.C., but as we started to talk about last week in Jesus calling the disciples, there's an interesting similarity to that room where it happens. It affected everything they were, everything they talked about. You know, I love nurses. My mom is a retired registered nurse, and she spent her whole career either in a hospital or nursing home settings. One of the things I noticed though when I did a visit in a hospital or a nursing home, even as a patient myself, is the behavior and how nurses do their thing. Some just come in, do the tasks they do, and leave. Others not only do the tasks, but also stop to visit a bit. Not long, just a bit. But one nurse I'll never forget, because she changed the life of the patient I saw. The nurse was working with the patient when I was visiting with them And this particular patient was an older fellow, and he had kind of sunk down in his bed. He just kind of, as the pillows, but he just kind of sunk down and stuff. And she said, "Hey!" I don't remember his name. I think it was Henry or something like this. She said, "Hey, Henry!" and stuff. And she came in and she fluffed up his pillows and got him sitting straight up. And this guy had been in the hospital for a while. I mean, he had some procedure that made him be in the hospital for more than a few days. And so he'd been there for a little bit. And she went and got what looked like a shower cap. And little did I know, they make shower caps, these things that if you haven't had your hair washed in a while, different nurses, different people would know what these things are. They have like lotion, some kind of, it's like hand lotion. You know how you put hand lotion and it just kind of, it disappears and stuff? It has some kind of thing you put on your hair. She put this cap on his head. She did her finger massage on his head. He took it off and he said, "Oh my goodness, I feel like a new man." You should have heard him over the weeks and months when he got home. "Oh, well, how'd you do? How's everything?" "Oh, you'll never believe that nurse. She was so awesome. She was so great. Oh, Pastor Rob, if you're ever in the hospital again seeing somebody and you see her, you thank her for me. And sometimes I'm going, all she did was wash your hair, wash your head." And it literally changed his life. I mean, his whole demeanor was, "Oh, this is so awesome. This is so great." Have you ever made anybody feel like that? Has anybody ever done that for you? That's what Jesus calls us to do. Not to wash each other's hair. Some of us have more than others. But to bless each other. To bless each other. I was sharing that with the kids in Sunday school this morning. To bless each other sounds like an old-fashioned custom. Sounds like something that we would that you'd hear the pastor do or the priest do. "Bless you, bless you, bless you." But to bless somebody means to make an impact on their life by something we do or by something we say. It might be a word of grace of saying, "Hey, have a great day." Or a situation where you go, "I know this has been tough for you. I know you had a tough, rough couple of days, a couple of weeks. But I'm praying for you. I'm thinking about you. And you're going to be in my thoughts and prayers. And by the way, God bless you." And say, "Jesus loves you too." It literally changes lives. Finally, not only is Jesus' call a personal call, and not only does it change our life, it also is a call with a task. "Follow me and I will make you fishers of men," has the context of getting up and doing something. These guys, Andrew and Simon Peter and James and John, were fishermen who worked long hours casting nets. John and James were mending these nets, these large roped nets. And it was hard work getting up and moving. And I'll make a confession here. It's not something that I haven't been doing myself a lot recently. There's a wonderful little book I've decided to use as a basis for our church services during Lent that our prayer group, their pastors, Tony is one of them, Tony Fink is one of them. We're doing a book study on this book, and I'm going to use it for our Lenten services here on Sunday mornings. It's called Surprise the World, 5 Habits of Highly Missional People. Have you ever heard of the book 5 Habits of Highly Effective People, or The Habits of Highly Effective People? It's kind of a knockoff of that, but for people in church, for people who are Christians, who call themselves Christians and say, "I want to do this. I want to follow Jesus." And so in one of the first chapters, the author talks about the trap we can get into in our lives called coasting. Coasting, what's that? When we coast, we think of taking it easy a bit. You know, you're coasting down a hill on a sled, or with the blizzard coming, on a sled or on a bicycle or anything. And it's easy just to take your legs off the pedals and just coast for a little bit. But in the book, he also, the author notices, or says, you notice that when you're coasting, in order to keep your speed, you have to kind of get it to a downhill so you can keep up your speed. And what are you doing? You're going downhill. Think about our church. Not that our church is necessarily going down a hill, but think of what we need to do to stop coasting. What do we need to do to hear the call of Jesus saying, follow me. Get out of the boat and start walking. Follow me. Over the next few months and on into 2018, we're going to be asking this as a church. We're going to be talking about this as a church. What do we do to really follow Jesus? You know, here we are for the last, I mentioned that we were talking about what we were giving to the district over the last year in our budget, for our annual budget. Well, I've done the annual reports now that the conference wants. They always want, how many people, what's your average attendance, what's your average membership, what's your average this, and all the member stuff. We have to give, the pastors are in charge of that, and we always get emails from the district superintendent. Make sure you get your tables in. Make sure you get all your stats in. Blah, 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 blah. Make sure you get all this. It's the end of the year. And so it's the new year, get these in. Anyway, the important thing is that I was looking at our average attendance over the last 2 or 3 years. We've been about the same. I told Fred here not long ago, I said, Fred, he said, Rob, what's your average attendance in worship in Jackson? I said, 40. I said, 46. He said, congratulations, you gained one. He said, you need to gain more. And I said, it went from 45 to 46. And the previous year before that, it was 45. So we gained one from 2016 to 2017. But the thing is, I think we can do more. I think we can do more. Here we are. We're the Church of Jesus Christ. We say we love Jesus with all our hearts, and we want our friends and our neighbors and our families to know that. To know the love of Jesus as we know the love of Jesus. Well, what do we do about it? We get up, we stop coasting, and believe me, I'm looking at myself. The old thing of pointing your finger at people, and you got 4 pointing back at you. I'm looking in the mirror too here. Yeah. And saying, how do we together, everybody, follow Jesus? How do we do that? Let's pray together. Our Lord God, we're thankful for your calling James and John and Andrew and Simon to follow you. But the fact of the matter is you call us too. You're saying hey, right there in that pew, right there in Jackson, Minnesota, right there in Martin County, Minnesota, right there where you live. You, come, follow me. I want you. You know my love, so you come and share that love with others. Lord, help us, all of us, myself included in this. This is for me too. Help us all to be a band of Christians together, a band of brothers and sisters together. The people in the room to go outside the room and to share the love of Jesus with everybody we know. How do we do that? How do we reach out and how do we assume, well, nobody wants to come with us, or they'll just say no, or they belong to this church or that church. Help us not to start assuming things, and help us to stop assuming things, and just say, hey, come with me or hear about Jesus in some way. Lord, help us to follow you in everything we do and everything we say. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.